Why hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Who the Hell Asked. I'm your host Slade, and today we'll be recording a different kind of video than what we usually do here on the channel. I'm going to ask and hopefully answer a question that has plagued my mind, as well as some of the minds of people within the Mario RPG community. And that question is, what is the impact that the Super Mario RPG Remake will have on Mario RPG games as a whole? This includes the Paper Mario series, the Mario & Luigi series, as well as Mario RPGs as a whole. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this underway. It's no secret that in the time since Alpha Dream filed for bankruptcy, along with the releases of modern Paper Mario games, that for better or worse, the future of the iconic turn-based time-to-hit combat of the Mario RPG games was and still is very much in doubt. On one hand, modern Paper Mario titles have for the most part abandoned everything that gave the series its identity since Sticker Star's release. The identity formed by its charming art style, its turn-based combat, unique characters, and compelling worlds. On the other hand, Alpha Dream, as I have previously stated, has gone bankrupt, and the future of the Mario & Luigi series, for all intents and purposes, is dead. With these things in mind, it was entirely justified to think that perhaps Mario's adventures in turn-based RPGs was truly over, and that it was simply the end of an era, and that we should simply just appreciate that it happened. However, some like myself felt incredibly bitter because it was definitely too soon for these type of games to go to the wayside. After all, to this day, there is still a very heavy demand for a new Paper Mario title featuring the gameplay of the first two Paper Mario games. And it could be reasonably argued that numerous poor decisions, such as releasing Bowser's Inside Stories Remake on the 3DS, ultimately led to the fall of Alpha Dream. I won't dig too deeply into either of these two issues, as there are plenty of videos out there that have made much better points on the topic than I ever could. And to be quite upfront with you guys, there are a lot of videos lamenting the status of modern Paper Mario, and I'd rather not add to them. With all that being said, let's go ahead and start with my first few points. So what came as a shock to everybody except gaming insiders and leakers, Nintendo announced that Super Mario RPG Remake at the Nintendo Direct last month on June 21st was announced, and I could not be happier for a multitude of reasons. I have made it known throughout my analysis video, as well as to most of my friends in my inner circle, that Super Mario RPG is not only my favorite Mario RPG out of the entire franchise, but it is also my favorite video game of all time. To me, seeing my favorite 27-year-old game that has been mired in rights struggles between Nintendo and Square Enix ever since its release, and it's making a beautiful return, honestly brought tears to my eyes. It honestly feels like this almost 3-decade-long wish of mine has come true, and I love that it came completely out of left field. For the longest time, I felt like the only way that Super Mario RPG could get any modern form of representation was for Geno to become playable in Smash. But in truth, outside of a sequel, this is what I had always wanted. I am so happy that I get to relive this experience and hopefully share it with a lot of people who will be experiencing it for the first time. However, that's enough about how ecstatic I am about the announcement. I could go on all day about that. Let's talk about what this means for the future. So, historically speaking, Mario RPG games across both the Paper Mario series and the Mario & Luigi series have sold quite well for RPGs, typically topping 1 million units sold, along with the original release of Bowser's Inside Story topping over 4.5 million units sold, which is the highest selling Mario RPG game in the entire franchise. However, since the release of Mario & Luigi Dream Team, the two remasters sold abysmally, which caused Alpha Dream to go bankrupt. Paper Mario fared much better. Whether that's for better or worse, I'll leave that for you to decide. With Paper Mario the Origami King selling just a little over 3 million units sold. This doesn't particularly count in my eyes because the traditional Mario RPG gameplay is absent, and we haven't really seen it since the release of the Thousand Year Door. So with all these things in mind, typically this would mean that the numbers would reflect that people have simply moved on from turn-based combat for Mario RPGs, and that there is no demand for such titles anymore. I disagree with this sentiment. As I stated earlier, I believe the poor sales are from poor decision making from Alpha Dream as well as Intelligent System, rather than actually reflecting demand. And it would seem both Nintendo and Square Enix agree with this sentiment. While the original game's director, Chihiro Fujioka, won't be involved with the remake, he's expressed on numerous occasions that he wanted his final project to be another Mario RPG reminiscent of the Super Famicom title. Not only that, but the demand for Geno in Smash has been brought up by Smash director Masahiro Sakurai on multiple occasions, even going as far to say that he has been one of the most requested characters for every Smash title since Brawl. Also keep in mind that while the original release of Super Mario RPG was very successful, having topped a little over 2 million units sold, it actually faced extremely stiff competition. It faced such competition with the release of the Nintendo 64 and its ever so iconic launch title that is Super Mario 64. It's honestly hard to project what could have been its sales numbers had Mario RPG simply released a year before or in a different year than the release of the 64 along with Super Mario 64, but I cannot imagine that if it had released on its own footing that it would have performed anything but better than it initially did. The reason why I bring this up is because Super Mario RPG's remake is in a somewhat similar position with the release of Super Mario Bros. Wonder coming out later this year in October. However, the reason why I view this situation to be very different is because the install base of the Nintendo Switch is much fonder of RPGs than its distant predecessor in the Super Famicom. Not only that, but this is also the first true turn-based RPG since Alpha Dream's bankruptcy that has been released. And because of that, the fans of both traditional Paper Mario titles as well as the Mario & Luigi series will be receiving exactly what they have been asking for all this time. Lastly, and arguably the biggest indicator for Super Mario RPG's potential success is its very timely release date. It is coming out on November 17th, later this year. It is being featured as Nintendo's premier holiday title, which none of the other Mario RPG titles have ever had. Super Mario RPG Remake having such an opportunistic privilege is going to set this game up for success. However, I will note that Sticker Star was released in November of 2012. However, it faced competition from the releases of Pokemon Black and White 2, as well as New Super Mario Bros. U. You can hardly call that the premier title from Nintendo coming out that holiday season. I cannot stress how massive this is for Super Mario RPG's remake. If I had to make a prediction on these facts alone for its sales figures, I would argue that this game is easily in a position to potentially eclipse 5 billion units sold, which would make it the best-selling title in the entire Mario RPG franchise. Naturally, though, this prediction is quite a bit optimistic, and you could say I'm definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. But honestly, with how everything is lined up, I think that optimism has a realistic place here in this discussion. However, for the sake of speculation, let's go ahead and speculate on an outcome that's less optimistic. Let's say, for argument's sake, that this game only sells between 2 million units sold and 4 million units sold. At those figures, it would at minimum keep pace with every Mario RPG that has come out, or potentially outpace every Mario RPG that isn't Bowser's Inside Story. It would then stand to reason that the identity of what made Super Mario RPG and the first two Paper Mario games would have legitimate demand once more. And with that, it would also mean that a couple of things would likely happen. So let's go over some scenarios that could take place if Super Mario RPG was to be moderately successful. The least likely scenario is that Intelligent Systems would take notes and realize that the approach of all of their Paper Mario games since Sticker Star have been incredibly flawed, and they decide to make a true return to form. The reason why I believe this to be unlikely is that Paper Mario director Kensuke Tanabe, as well as Intelligent Systems as a whole, seems awfully adverse to fan feedback and quote-unquote going backwards, rather instead choosing to fall in line with the much maligned and rumored Mario mandate. While I would very much plead for Paper Mario to return to its roots, I just don't think that the success of Super Mario RPG's remake would change that fact. I think for the Paper Mario series to make a meaningful change in the right direction, something internal would have to happen at either Intelligent Systems or Nintendo, because quite frankly, they have shown to be stubborn and again ignore fan feedback. The next unlikely scenario is that we would see a return of the Mario and Luigi games. While Chihiro Fujioka has expressed joy that the Super Mario RPG is returning, he is also not involved in any way, shape, or form with the remake at all, and it is highly unlikely that Nintendo would bring along former Alpha Dream employees, including Mr. Fujioka, into another company to make future Mario and Luigi titles. This is honestly quite sad, as I think the decision behind the Mario and Luigi titles since the release of Dream Team, primarily the two remakes and Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, this series saw its end before it was truly its time. Another scenario I could see likely happening is that we could see the potential creation of an entirely new Mario RPG series made by a second-party studio that is affiliated with Nintendo, somewhat similar position with Alpha Dream. While this new studio would probably have the same restrictions in regards to the original characters from Super Mario RPG thanks to rights issues, I sincerely would hope that they would be given more creative freedom than Intelligent Systems, in particular to their character designs and story elements, alongside their own efforts to create their own unique spin on the series. Ultimately, this scenario only happens if Nintendo wishes to continue making Mario RPGs, but do not have the relationship financially or otherwise with Square Enix to continue making games with them. The last scenario, and the one I think is actually quite likely, is the creation of a Mario RPG series or the continuation of Super Mario RPG in the form of sequels made by Square Enix as a third party. This idea, while being an absolute dream scenario for me, would only work if Nintendo and Square Enix maintain the good relationship that they currently have now since the Switch's release. Also, the remake would have to see a rather significant amount of success. If the success of the remake has the remake selling a little over 5 million units sold, then honestly I feel like this is a practically done deal. I mean, there's absolutely zero chance that if the remake is wildly successful, that both Nintendo and Square Enix isn't going to want to capitalize on it in some way, shape, and form. And I highly doubt that if it is successful, that this will be the last turn-based adventure Mario will go on. And I haven't even gotten to the fact that on every social media platform during the time of the Nintendo Direct, Super Mario RPG was the most talked about game on every social media platform, even with Super Mario Bros. Wonder right there. To wrap this up, I believe for the first time in the last 5 years, the future of Mario RPG adventures shines bright, and you could definitely expect more Mario RPG titles in the future. I will definitely be fervently supporting the release of Super Mario RPG Remake. I will most likely be frothing at the mouth telling all my friends to get it when it launches in November. And if absolutely nothing happens for the series from Super Mario RPG's remake and onward, at the very least, it is my dearest wish that every one of you get to enjoy the experience that is Super Mario RPG with me when the game releases. I very much look forward to that day. Before I end the video here, I just want to talk about, some of the other things involving the channel. First and foremost, thank all of you for your support of the channel. Byron and I greatly appreciate it, especially when it came to our analysis videos. They performed far better than I honestly could have ever hoped. And I mean, wow, I honestly did not think we would see the kind of content or support for that content that we put out. So again, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys so much. And I think the results of those videos have spoken very loud and clear. Byron and I need to continue making content of this type. So that doesn't mean that we're going to hyper analyze, every Nintendo game trailer that comes out, because quite frankly, we're not passionate about every video game that comes out. And not only would it suck for us to make, but it'd also be just terrible content for you guys to watch. It's not like the case scenario where I'm talking about Super Mario RPG, which is something I'm incredibly passionate about, and then I enjoy doing, so I'm putting my all into making the content. That being said, we appreciate everything you guys have done for the channel and supported us. We listen to all of your feedback, and again, we hope to continue making videos like these moving forward. For some added context, this video was actually our first ever scripted video that we've put out here on the channel. And I did this because I wanted to make what I considered to be informed points. But not only that, I wanted to put our best foot forward. So I'm not going to sit here and say this was the best video in the world. Please forgive me. I'm far from what someone would call a professional. I'm not even what you would call a content creator. And I have zero experience making videos and editing videos. So again, I apologize, but I've done my absolute best, and I sincerely hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thank you for listening. If you guys could do this for me, please like and subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends. And as well as Byron, would greatly appreciate it. That's it, everyone. Thank you very much, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful night.